By the time I'd realized I was in danger, I was quite literally out to sea. That was Hayden Panettiere describing a terrifying moment on a yacht, where she was allegedly put in a bed with a famous, unclothed man against her will. It's a chilling story she's telling for the first time, and it's just one of several shocking Hollywood tales we're breaking down today. In the world of celebrity, the headlines we see are often just the tip of the iceberg. Today, we're looking at 3 stories that have gone viral, and we're going to get to the bottom of what's real and what's just noise. First up, the disturbing experience Hayden Panettiere shared in her new memoir, an incident that points to one of Hollywood's darkest, long-rumored secrets. Then we'll investigate the tragic past of Britney Spears' mother, Lynn Spears, and the fatal accident that has haunted their family for nearly 50 years. And finally, we'll untangle the bizarre multi-million-dollar drug bust that has wrapped up Kim Kardashian's SKIMS empire, and what it actually means for her brand. Each story is a reminder that behind the velvet rope, the truth is often stranger and more disturbing than we could ever imagine. Hayden Panettiere has been famous since she was a baby, literally modeling at just 8 months old. But in her new memoir, Wildflower, a Memoir, she's sharing the terrifying realities she faced as a young woman in Hollywood. One of the most alarming stories happened when she was only 18. In her book and recent interviews, Panettiere alleges that a woman she saw as a trusted friend and confidant orchestrated a deeply disturbing encounter. According to Hayden, this friend led her onto a luxury yacht to meet a very famous British singer-songwriter who was in his 30s. Panettiere says she was led into a small cabin where the singer was waiting, shirtless and propped up on pillows. That's when, she claims, her friend told her to get into bed with him, even making a crude comment about him. Feeling shocked and betrayed, but still trusting the woman she thought was her friend, Panettiere says she got under the covers. She describes a feeling of complete disassociation as she tried to process the situation. Thankfully, Panettiere says as soon as her friend left, her survival instincts took over. She immediately got out of bed, left the room, and found a way off the yacht. Looking back, she said she felt like she'd been treated like a call girl by someone she trusted. This story has reignited a huge conversation about a practice often whispered about in Hollywood: yachting. The term has a sinister double meaning. On one hand, it's about luxury parties and networking, but it's also rumored to be a system where up-and-coming talents are paid huge sums of money to be companions to powerful men. While some of these arrangements are likely innocent, many stories describe a darker side where people are put in compromising situations with an unspoken expectation of intimacy. It's often called one of Hollywood's oldest open secrets, where the line between a paid gig and something much worse becomes terrifyingly blurry. Panettiere's book details other upsetting moments, including another incident where an Oscar-winning actor allegedly exposed himself to her at an industry gathering, warning her about gum on his pants. By sharing these stories, Panettiere isn't just recounting personal trauma. She's exposing a culture of exploitation that has long festered in the shadows. Her bravery in detailing these events forces a hard look at the systems that leave young performers so vulnerable. From a harrowing story of survival, we turn to another family that has lived its entire life in the public eye: the Spears family. While Britney has fought her own very public battles, new attention has turned to a dark chapter from her mother's past. The Spears family is no stranger to drama and heartbreak. But lately, a tragic event from nearly 50 years ago has resurfaced, partly because of comments made by Britney Spears herself. The story is about a fatal car accident involving her mother, Lynn Spears, back in 1975. Viral headlines have sensationally claimed that Lynn murdered a kid, but the reality is much more complicated. According to multiple reports and Lynn's own 2008 memoir, Through the Storm, the incident happened in their hometown of Kentwood, Louisiana. Lynn, who was 20 at the time, was driving her brother when she was involved in a collision with a 12-year-old boy named Anthony Winters, who was on his bicycle. In her book, Lynn described the road as slick from rain. She wrote that as she came around a curve, she saw two boys on a bike and had a sick sensation that she couldn't avoid hitting them, even as she slammed on the brakes. One boy got out of the way, but Anthony Winters was struck by her car and tragically died. No charges were ever filed against Lynn, and the event was ruled an accident. However, the emotional fallout has lingered. In interviews given around 2008 and 2009, Anthony's mother, Yvonne Winters, confirmed that Lynn had never reached out to her or her family to express sympathy in the decades since. Despite this, she graciously called it a terrible situation and an accident that could happen to anyone. This painful history is relevant again because of Britney's own fraught relationship with her mother. In now-deleted social media posts, Britney accused her mother of being the true mastermind behind her 13-year conservatorship, writing, "She secretly ruined my life." During a police encounter earlier this year, Britney reportedly told officers that her mom accidentally killed a man on a bike. "But I never did that before." She then asked, "How come my mom got away with everything?" These comments show the deep resentment fracturing the Spears family. For Britney, this decades-old tragedy seems tangled up with her own feelings of injustice. While calling it murder is inaccurate, the story highlights the generations of trauma that have unfolded in the family long before the number-free Britney movement ever started. While the Spears family drama plays out publicly, another huge celebrity name has been dragged into a criminal investigation, not because of personal history, but because of a shocking bust by law enforcement. Kim Kardashian's shapewear brand, SKIMS, is a billion-dollar empire. But recently, the brand was unwillingly thrust into an international crime story that sounds like it was ripped from a movie script. Headlines exploded with news of a multi-million-dollar drug bust linked to a shipment of SKIMS products. So what really happened? In September of last year, UK Border Force officers at the port of Harwich stopped a truck that had just arrived from the Netherlands. The truck was carrying a totally legitimate shipment of 28 pallets of Skims clothing. But when authorities inspected it, they found a secret compartment built into the truck's rear doors. Hidden inside were 91-kilogram blocks of cocaine. The estimated street value was a staggering $8.40 to $9.4 million. The driver, a Polish national named Jakub Jan Konkel, was arrested. He later admitted he agreed to transport the drugs for about €45 and was sentenced to 13.5 years in prison. Now, this is the most important part. Authorities have been crystal clear that neither SKIMS, Kim Kardashian, nor the companies involved in the legitimate shipment had any idea this was happening. The UK's National Crime Agency said this was a classic case of criminals using a corrupt driver to hide drugs within a legitimate shipment. SKIMS later released a statement confirming they had no knowledge whatsoever about this criminal activity. Even though the company was completely cleared, the headlines linking SKIMS and cocaine bust went everywhere. This is a perfect example of how a brand's reputation can be threatened by something totally out of its control. A juicy headline can easily create a false impression, even when the facts tell a completely different story. For SKIMS, this was a crisis management moment, and their quick denial was key. But it also shows how vulnerable huge global brands can be. Their supply chains are so massive they can become an unwitting shield for crime. In this case, the smugglers were counting on the legitimacy of a brand like SKIMS to fly under the radar. The brand wasn't an accomplice, it was the camouflage. So, looking at these three very different Hollywood stories, what's the takeaway? Hayden Panettiere's bravery confirms a predatory culture that many have long suspected exists just beneath the surface. The tragic history of the Spears family shows how unresolved trauma can echo through generations, coming out in moments of intense anger and pain. And the bizarre situation with SKIMS is a masterclass in how quickly facts get twisted, and how even the biggest brands can be unwillingly pulled into total chaos. It's clear that the lives of celebrities and the empires they build are never as simple as they look from the outside. Behind every headline, there is always a much deeper story. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Do you think Hayden's story will lead to real change in Hollywood? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the stories everyone is talking about, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update.